Welcome to E5110 Probability Foundations for Electrical Engineers. In this lecture we will look at the variance of discrete random variable. We already looked at some examples of discrete valued random variables and also the expectation of a discrete random variable. So the expectation basically gives the average value that you can expect when you look at a large number of realizations of the random variable. Since that does not tell how the independent values that you get out of different experimentation will differ from the average value, or more specifically the spread of the different values that you obtain from the mean or the average value. To this end, we use a quantity called as the variance, which will roughly give you an idea about the spread of the values taken by the random variable around the average value. Okay, first, to that extent, we can define what is called as the deviation. That capital X denote a random variable, while the mean value of the random variable is denoted as mu subscript capital X, or because we are only talking about one random variable X, we can even drop that one. Sometime we may specify it. So we will call that as mu. Then X, if it is a particular realization of the random variable, then the deviation of the value taken by the random variable from its mean or the expected value is nothing but small x minus mu. So this is the deviation. So first you find the expected value of the random variable, and then you repeat the experiment, and every time you get a value, you just only concentrate on how much it deviates from the expected value. So that is what this value will give. And as you might know that this is mu is an average value. Sometime x may take a value greater than mu, sometime less than mu, so that x minus mu may be positive or negative, and it may be very small because the value may be close to the average value, or sometime it may be very large, it may deviate very much. So you would like to know how the deviation is and what is the expectation of the deviation that you can look at, and so on. Now if you simply take the expectation of the deviation, you would see that it will just give you 0. It doesn't give you any information, because if you take expectation of x minus mu x, and if you take the expectation over these two, this becomes the expectation of x, which is just mu x, and this is just a number mu x. Expectation of a constant value or a constant random variable is just that constant. So it will be mu x minus mu x, which is equal to 0. So this does not give any information that we are looking for. Incidentally, once we have a random variable x and the expectation being found out, we can define a new random variable which is x minus mu x, and we can talk about the expectation of that new random variable x minus mu x, that is the deviation or the square of the deviation, and so on. So we will call these things as central moments. Okay, central because we are only looking at the deviation from the average or the expected value. So if you talk about the expectation of x, x squared, x cube, and so on, we will call them as moments. If you talk about the expectation of x minus mu the whole squared, and so on, we will call them as central moments. And x minus mu x expectation is called as the first central moment, which boils down to be 0. And x minus mu x the whole squared will be termed as the second central moment, which is of interest to us. Incidentally, we can also look at deviation, which is value which is non-trivial. We can take a mod of this value before taking the expectation. So the mod will give you the absolute deviation, and this will give you the expected value of the absolute deviation of the random variable. This may also throw some light, but more often in probability and especially in statistics, we are interested in the second central moment, which is defined as expectation of x minus mu x the whole squared. We call this as the variance of the random variable x. So we define variance of x as the expectation of x minus mu x the whole squared. So this quantity, okay, is called as the variance, and sometimes it is convenient to take the square root of this quantity variance and call it as the standard deviation, denoted as sigma x. So sigma x is the standard deviation of the random variable x, which is defined to be equal to the square root of variance of x. Incidentally, you can see that variance of any random variable is always a positive quantity, and therefore if you take the standard deviation, it will also be a positive quantity. Okay, you don't need to worry of whether variance can be negative and standard deviation whether it will become an imaginary quantity. That cannot occur. The fact that variance is positive can easily be seen because you can see that x minus mu x can be positive or negative, but once we square it is always positive. An expectation of a positive random variable which is always positive is positive, because it is nothing but expectation is nothing but the weighted sum of these quantities, weightage being the probability that x is realized, and because probabilities are positive non-negative in nature, so all these will again turn out to be positive. Now we will look at more specifically about the nature of the variance, or convert this expression into a form which is sometimes more useful for evaluation. So as we saw that the variance will always be positive because this quantity is positive, this is also positive, and sum of positive is always greater than or equal to 0. Now we can rewrite the variance in the following form. So we will square this, expand this expression. This becomes, so sigma over x element of Sx, where Sx is the set of all values the random variable x can take. So this, if you expand it, it will become x squared plus mu x squared minus of 2 into mu x into x into px of x. Now if you do the summation individually by multiplying px on each of these terms and then summing it separately, the first term is sigma over x element of x Sx x squared into px of x. The second term will be mu x squared into px of x. The third term will be this one. Now, so variance of x can be given by these three things. Now if you look at this one, we will see that it is nothing but expectation of x squared, which we have already given a name for that, which is nothing but the second moment, or expectation of x squared. So x squared is just a function of x, and we are taking the expectation of the function called as the x squared, so it is e of x squared. If you look at the second one, okay, you can pull out mu x whole squared outside this variation. Actually this is wrong, there should not be any x here. The remaining one is nothing but sigma over px of s, because the probability mass function normalizes to 1, so this quantity becomes 1. There is no x here, this becomes 1. So this is equal to mu x squared, and this, if you look at this one, so this quantity is again the expectation mu x, so it is minus 2 into mu x or minus 2 into mu x squared. So we get variance of x is e of x squared plus mu x squared minus 2 times mu x squared. So if we cancel one of them, we get e of x squared minus mu x the whole squared. So if you want to call this as e of x the whole squared, then variance is given by this formula. Variance of x is expectation of x squared minus expectation x the whole squared. So sometimes this would be more handy in our calculation of the variance of different random variables. Well, now let us look at the case of performing a transformation of a random variable and finding the variance. Let x be a random variable. We define a random variable y, which is a linear function of x. Generically, we will write it as ax plus b, where a and b are constants which are non-random deterministic constant, to be specific. So if you take variance of y, simply apply this formula for variance of x, the original formula variance of x. So sigma over all y, which are element of sy, where sy is the set of all values y can take. So for each value of x, there is a mapping that ax plus b gives out a value y. For that forms the set sy derived from the set sx. So over this set, we will evaluate this function y minus mu I the whole squared into py of y. Because for every value of x in sx, one value of y is being produced, instead of summing over y, we can also sum over x. So it can be written as sigma x element of sx y minus mu I the whole squared p x of x. Again, this is because this is now we can be viewed as a function of x, and we are just using the law of unconscious statistician. So now we will expand it. Okay, so sigma, of course it is implied that this is the summation condition. In place of y, we will write ax plus b, and in place of mu y, we will write a times mu x plus b, and then we will whole square it and then px of x. Why? Because in place of y, we have written ax plus b. In place of, on taking the expectation, we know that e of y is a times e of x plus b. Now if you look at this one, this b gets cancelled and a can be pulled out, resulting in a into x minus mu x the whole squared into px of x. So a can be squared and taken out of the summation. We get a squared into sigma x minus mu x the whole squared into px of x, which is nothing but the variance of x. So what we get is variance of y is equal to a squared variance of x, where y equal to ax plus b is the transformation. What this simply means is, if we have a random variable x, and if you first, let us say, set a is equal to 1, which means that y is nothing but x plus b. So if you have a random variable x, and if you add a constant value to the random variable, the variance does not change. Okay, so that is what first we obtained. And so next, if you put a equal to 0, then which means that we are getting a constant random variable which takes always a constant value, say b. Then if you look at that one, the variance of that constant random variable is always 0, because it doesn't deviate from the value, always it realizes the same value. With this in mind, we will just go through and look at some of the familiar random variables and derive the expression for those random variables. First is the Bernoulli random variable denoted as x, which can take two values 1 and 0 with the probability p, and q, which is 1 minus p. We have already derived the mean, or more specifically formally the expectation of x of a Bernoulli random variable to be equal to p. To derive the variance, we first derive the second moment e of x squared, so which is nothing but we have to put 1 squared into p plus 0 squared into 1 minus p. So this quantity goes away and this becomes p. So we find that the second moment is also p. So what is variance? Expectation of x squared minus expectation x the whole squared. Expectation of x squared, the second moment is p, and the first moment is p, and its square is p squared. So we get p minus p squared. Taking 1 p out, we get p into 1 minus p, 1 minus p can be conveniently written as q, so we get nothing but p times q. So the variance of the Bernoulli random variable is p times q, which is very important to note that while the average value of a Bernoulli random variable is just the success probability, how much the variance occurs, okay, depends upon both p as well as q. And it should be obvious that the variance of a binomial random variable, okay, will be maximum when p equal to q, that is equal to 1 by 2. Okay, when either p is small, very small, or q is very small, the variance will be less. Okay, that is something that you can easily note it. Next, we can see that variance of a sum of a number of random variables, x1 plus x2 to xn, of n random variables, if you find it. So this is nothing but, okay, an independent random variable, to be specific, can be written as the sum of the variance. Okay, we can actually put this we have not proven as of now, so we can evaluate it by multiplying it by the joint probability mass function, and then which factors out into product of individual mass functions when they are independent, and then if you proceed and calculate, you will get this expression. We will encounter it little later, but right now we will make use of this formula. A variance of sum is the sum of this variance, for in this case, so which we can make use of to get the binomial random variables variance. So let us look at x, the binomial random variable n comma p, where n is the number of Bernoulli trials that you conduct, and p is the probability of success of each Bernoulli trial, and its variance will be the sum of the variance of the Bernoulli trials. So it will be pq plus pq to and so on n times, which will give to n into p into q. Well, is there any other things I missed? Yeah. Now with this in mind, we can derive a very important inequality called as the Chebyshev inequality. Let us take a case that a random variable is given to you, but its probability mass function or probability density function in the case of the continuous valued one is not known to you. But what is given, or what is found out by some means, or only two of the moments of it, one being the mean or the expected value of the random variable, another being the standard deviation. So you have a random variable whose expectation is known, whose standard deviation is known. You are interested in computing some bounds that might be of interest to you. Okay, let us now look at what could be the physical significance of the expectation and the standard deviation before posing this problem. For this case, we will consider a continuous valued random variable, because that gives a better way of insight into the problem. So let us look at this all familiar probability density function of a normal like distribution, okay, which is given in this manner. So here the expected value will roughly tell you the average value that random variable can take, okay, in any given experiment. That is, if you don't know anything about what is going to come up, this is the best bet that you can make about the value that is going to come as the realization. So that is what we call as the expectation, and we will by that we mean that the random variable is likely to take values above it or below it. This is also what we would expect to happen. but how much it can deviate from the average or the expected value is not something that is known, and that is what we think that the standard deviation is going to give. So if you look at mu as the expected value, standard deviation gives, or variance gives, roughly the spread of the probability distribution function around the expected value. Okay, suppose you consider an interval plus or minus sigma around mu, that is the interval mu minus sigma to mu plus sigma. We expect that most of the time the random variable will take a value in this interval, or the probability would be concentrated mostly in this interval. If you want to come up with an interval in which the probability that the random variable will take a value will be more than that, okay, with more certainty you can say that it is very likely to take a value within this interval. That kind of an interval can be obtained by taking, let us say, mu minus 2 sigma to mu plus 2 sigma. So this interval has got more chance of having the realization within it. Similarly, you can define a larger interval mu minus 3 sigma to mu plus 3 sigma and so on. So as the interval increases around mu, the chances that your bet will occur within the interval increases. So this is what roughly these two quantities tell you. Now it is in this juncture that you are given a random variable whose distribution is not known, only the expectation and variance is being given. You should now make a point that there can be many random variables which can have the same expectation and standard deviation, whose probability density function or mass function can vary wide differently. Okay, so still there is a large uncertainty that is present. But what this Chebyshev inequality tells is, it gives a bound on the probability that the realization will deviate from the expected value by an extent. To this end, we will define an interval, let us say, okay, which is mu minus k sigma to mu plus k sigma, where k is an integer. K can be 1 or 2 or 3. In this case, we have given an illustration where k is equal to 3. Okay, so we are interested, we know that most of the time the realization will be confined to mu minus 3 sigma to mu plus 3 sigma, but still some realization may fall outside this range. Okay, but what we want is, what is the probability that a realization can fall outside this range? That probability cannot be exactly found out if the PMF is not available, but a bound for that can be obtained using this Chebyshev inequality. What it tells is probability that mod of x minus mu x, that is, x is the actual realization and mu x is the average quantity. This gives the deviation. For this deviation to be more than k sigma in the absolute value, that is, either it falls in this shaded region or in this shaded region. So this gives the probability of these two shaded regions together. What this inequality tells is, this probability is less than or equal to 1 over k squared, where k is this factor that you have taken for considering this bound. Okay, let's look at what it really physically mean. Okay, to this end, what we will do is, we will write down the expression for variance. So variance of x is nothing but sigma over x, x minus mu x the whole squared into px of x. Okay, so now we will define, we will split this summation into two parts, one over this region and one outside this region. Okay, so we will call this region, shaded region, as the region A, and the unshaded one in the center as the A complement. Okay, so we will see that this summation can be split into over two summation. One, a summation within in the region A and another in A complement. Okay, so sigma over x minus mu x the whole square into px of x over A, and the same thing outside A complement. First thing we note that is both these two quantities are positive quantities, because these are positive, these are all positive quantities. So this part as well as this part are positive. So this together constitute the variance. Okay, if you drop this part, what you are doing is you are underestimating the variance, which means that the variance will be, actual variance will be greater than this part. Because we are dropping a particular part of it. Okay, so by dropping it we are underestimating the variance, and therefore this quantity alone will be less than or equal to the actual variance. So variance of x is greater than or equal to sigma over A, this quantity. Next we do one more approximation. We know that if you look at the region A, shaded region, x minus mu x, if x is this one, x minus mu x is this whole value, this value. The minimum value it can take, this quantity x minus mu x, is k times sigma, because k times sigma is this length, that is it's 3 sigma in this case. This is the minimum value x minus mu x can take. Usually if you take x here, it will be larger than that. So in this summation, if you put the minimal value of this expression, then definitely you are still underestimating, and therefore still this inequality holds good. That is, variance of x is still greater than or equal to this one, where this is being replaced by the smallest value this can realize. Why are we doing this? Because once we do this one, then we can evaluate it, because as of now we cannot evaluate it unless we know these values, which is the entire probability density function. Once this is written in this manner, we can pull out this k sigma the whole squared, that is k squared sigma squared outside, and we can find out this one, sigma x element of A px of x. What is this? This is the quantity that we are interested in. That is probability that x will lie in this shaded region, and what is that one? And that is this region. Probability that mod of x minus mu x being greater than or equal to k sigma. That is, this defines this shaded region. So this is what the region A, probability integrated over region A. So we can now bring it in. So we can write this as this region. So sigma squared is greater than or equal to k squared sigma squared into probability x minus mu x greater than or equal to k sigma. Now we will bring it here. These are all positive quantities. Without changing the inequality, we can bring it here. Strike off sigma squared, this is nothing but 1 over k squared. We see that this quantity will always be less than or equal to, this is less than or equal to 1 over k squared. By rewriting it, this is less than or equal to k squared, which is the Chebyshev inequality. So this inequality is a very powerful inequality that we can often make use of it in order to find good bounds when only the expectation and standard deviation is known. We will also look at other inequalities like Markov inequalities and so on later on. Now we will just look at the variance of some more random variables. To this end, first we will look at the variance of the geometric random variable. So our idea is to find the variance of a geometric random variable. So we have already seen that the expectation of x is the geometric random variable, is 1 by p. To find variance of x, first we find the second moment, expectation of x squared. That is nothing but sigma n varying from 1 to infinity n squared into q power n minus 1 into p, where q is 1 minus p. So this is what it is. So now we can pull out p outside and n 1 to infinity and this quantity. Okay, so here this is can be written as this is n q power n minus 1, okay, is nothing but d by dq of q power n. So one n remains there, so we can write it as d by dq of n q power n. You can pull out n, remaining thing will be n q power n minus 1. Now interchanging the summation of differential, we get p into d by dq of sigma 1 to infinity n q power n. Okay, so again we get that if you look at this one, what is this one? This, in this one, first you take a q outside, then you will have n p power q power n. Okay, now if you multiply and divide it by p, you will get sigma n q power n minus 1 into p, which is nothing but the formula for expectation of x. So sigma n q power n minus 1 into p is the formula for this one. To get it into this form, we have taken one q outside and we have multiplied and divided by p. What we have divided by p is we have rewritten it as 1 minus q. So this can be written in this form. Now what we can do is, this is p d by dq of, if you again this is nothing but 1 by p, which is 1 by 1 minus q. So this is nothing but q into 1 minus q to the power of minus 2. So this is another way in which you can write it. Okay, now this can be easily performed and you can get this one. One way of doing it is change the variable from p to q, because p is equal to 1 minus q. If there is differential, they will get a minus sign, and this can be, if you convert it, this is p power minus 2, this is 1 minus p. So you will end up getting 1 minus p by p squared, which is 1 by p squared minus 1 by p, and then you differentiate it and so on. If you proceed, you will get this kind of an formula. So we get the second moment to be equal to 2 by p squared minus 1 by p. We know that the expectation is 1 by p. To get the variance, what you have to do? Expectation, the second moment minus the first moment, the whole squared. So you have to subtract from the second moment minus of 1 by p the whole squared. 2 by p squared minus 1 by p squared will give you 1 by p squared, along with minus 1 by p. You will get 1 by p squared minus 1 by p, which can be written as like this, 1 by p squared. So we get variance of x of the geometric random variable to be equal to q by p squared, like this. Well, now in a similar manner we can go about and evaluate the variance of the Poisson random variable. We have already found out the expected value of a Poisson random variable whose mass function is e power of minus lambda lambda power I by I factorial for x to be equal to y. So this calculation we have already done, and we have got the expectation to be equal to just the Poisson parameter lambda. Okay, now to proceed to find the variance, we will find the second moment, that is expectation of x squared. That is obtained by simply putting I squared in place of x squared and then multiplying it by the probability x equal to I and then summing it over 0 to infinity. So we get sigma I 0 to infinity I squared e power of minus lambda lambda power I by I factorial. Now what we do is, we will do some work around this one. We will take one lambda outside, and then I equal to 0. If you substitute, this becomes 0, therefore we can as well write I is equal to 1 to infinity. So what remains here is, okay, there will be e power of minus lambda. Lambda, because we have taken 1 outside, here we will have lambda power I minus 1, and this 1i and I factorial becomes I minus 1 factorial in the denominator. So you will have 1i here. Okay, so this is what you will get. Now what we will do is, we will do a change of variable. We will define j, which is equal to I minus 1. If we do so, then we will see that when I goes from 1 to infinity, j will go from 0 to infinity. So j goes from 0 to infinity. And when I is nothing but j plus 1. So in place of I, we will write j plus 1, e power of minus lambda. In place of I minus 1, we will write j. And in place of I minus 1, we will write j. We get j factorial. So this is what we get. Now we will write it as two summations, one over j and another over 1. So j 0 to infinity, j e power of minus lambda, lambda power by j factorial. Another summation over 1 into this quantity. See, this is nothing but the Poisson PMF, Poisson probabilities. So what we are doing it, we are summing it over the probability mass function, which will simply give you 1. And what is this? This is nothing but the formula for the expectation. Sigma j is equal to 0 to infinity, j into probability x equal to j. So this is the expectation whose value is lambda, which we have already found out here. So you get, this is nothing but lambda into lambda plus 1, lambda squared plus lambda. That is the second moment. If you subtract the square of the first moment, that is minus lambda squared. So you get lambda squared plus lambda minus lambda squared will simply give you lambda. So we find that the variance of the Poisson random variable is simply lambda. So this is a very interesting situation where for Poisson random variable, the expected value as well as the variance both have the same value, which is nothing but the parameter of the random variable, which is lambda. So with this we will conclude our lecture on looking at the variance of the discrete random variable. We will look at more other aspects of discrete and continuous valued random variable in the following lectures. Thank you.